Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So in today's video, we're going to go over Ciel AS in his 5-star form, of course, and we're going to do a little bit of gameplay and do a 5-star review. Now the most important question of all is he hot or not?
I'm not quite sure. He has an interesting outfit.
Fair enough. Anyways, AS Ciel is a really top tier Earth Pierce bow unit, and he actually does quite a bit of things which we'll go over in the later on in the video. So check out his Valor Chant. Pretty good actually. Pierce resistance and Earth resistance down 25% each. So if he comes in, that's essentially 50% extra damage for him, being that he's both of those Pierce as well as Earth. He also has Tumble at the turn end, which actually affects one of his moves, Espresso. You can also see the 3 moves that we're going with, which is the Heartbreak, which is his 4-star move, as well as his damaging move, Vivace. So, in terms of his overall kit, he does have a little bit of variety. Heartbreak is a pretty standard single target DPS, non-elemental power down 20. I don't think you'll be using this very much, being that he's going to be used on a nice Pierce team, and you should have other units that be able to power down or int down for support, namely Claude. Now, he does have a small type shield, 30% as well for 5 turns. Again, may not be the most useful, being that 30% is actually pretty easy to come by. We actually have a lot of units that can provide 30 or if not more in terms of type resist. And especially on an Earth team, you'll have the likes of AS Myris and so on and so forth as well. Now, in terms of his 5-star moves here, we've got Espresso, and this is one of the awesome moves here. Earth of type attacks for all party plus 30, bow equipped characters all plus 50, and crit damage increased by 30 for the entire party for 3 turns. And depending on the number of tumbles, which you get 1 at the end of each turn, it can extend instead of 3 turns, 4 turns, 5 turns, or 6 turns. You can get a max, I think, of 3 tumbles. To be fair though, 3 turns is usually more than enough, being that he's so powerful that essentially you can end the battle nice and simple. If not, just use it every 3 turns. I mean, not much else to say with that. Again, fits in very well with both Earth elemental attacks as well as Pierce type teams, especially those who have bow units such as Yukino or even other powerful units coming up. For example, ES Tsukiya, I believe, is an Earth with a wind bow unit. Finally, Vivace is the spam move. Earth Pierce AoE XL times 2 hits and increase crit and type resist 25 down, which is stackable for a maximum of 50% if you get all 3 stacks. And again, depending on number of debuffs on the enemy, you can get more damage out there. And again, very, very easy, especially if you are using one of the top Pierce support bow users, which is Claude. You're already using Forefather to apply 2 debuffs. You'll have, Earth, type resist, which is a 3rd debuff, and if you use the power down, or you can use his VC, you're going to get 4 debuffs pretty easy, if not from him, from one of your other members on your team. And it can actually do quite a bit of damage for such an AoE attack. Remember, the AoE damage is usually less than single target DPS. Now, in terms of the 5-star board, you can see his moves, and keep this in mind. His moves actually cost very little MP in comparison to some other units. It's only 47 as opposed to other ones here. Okay, and if you're wondering why mine costs a lot less, it's because of his equipment. And so I'm just going to apply this to his regular 5-star unit. And if you watched my previous video, you'll know that I'm grinding out the 5-star OG Ciel, which gives plus 10 power to AS Ciel. Here's his Grasta setup, and so you can actually obviously modify the kit depending on who you're bringing along and what kind of team you're making. So let's take them all for a spin. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So being that Vivace is AoE, he can deal with mobs very, very easily, especially those who are either vulnerable or weak to Pierce or Earth. Does a significant amount of damage, and that's even before using buffs. Keep in mind that Espressivo helps buff him, as well as you have the Heartbreak, which can defend yourself against any physical attacks with the power down. So we'll just kill a couple of mobs here. Still haven't killed 100 of each of these. Pretty simple stuff. Now, in terms of 101 against, an average horror level 71, let's see how he fares up. So normally I would defend with a Heartbreak or some sort of power down. And then we're going to use Espressivo to boost power 50% for bow, 30% extra earth attacks, and extra crit damage 30%. So you can see that you're already doing a fair bit of damage, one hit, and then with the type resist stackable, you see 2 stacks there. You're doing more and more damage each and every turn, and that was pretty simple. The horror really didn't stand any chance. Now, let's do a couple of examples of how he could fit into various teams. So first of all, we're going to take on the True Spirit Trial, the water version, and obviously we'll use Earth against water, being that Earth has the advantage against water. Also, remember that Earth units have natural resistance to water type attacks, which will allow you to survive a lot of these AoE attacks from the boss. Now, I know that all 4 of these True Spirits can be difficult, and I also know that depending on what kind of teams you have, especially if you have overpowered teams, you probably end these battles in 2 or 3 turns. But the purpose of this video is really to showcase what Ciel can do. Now, you can see that Ciel came in with the VC and obviously applied Pierce Resist down, Earth Resist down, and that will really help the rest of our team do a lot of damage. We're actually going to be using the entire Earth team because each of them actually does have a purpose. We do have Brave Step, and the reason for that is that we are going to apply Int down. We already have Power down, and we'll also use Mayumpha, obviously Glorious T-Stock, instant crit damage, and so on and so forth. Chaos Saber helps apply physical resist down, so we really have a lot of synergy in doing a physical-based Earth type team, doing a significant amount of damage. You have Earth resist down, Pierce resist down, physical resist down, type resist down, and so on and so forth. So you're stacking tons and tons of debuffs, which also helps Vivace. Don't forget that max of 4 debuffs on the enemy, you're going to have more and more damage from AS Ciel. And again, works out very well being that he is an AoE. He can handle a lot of these mobs very, very simple. Again, I realize that this battle can be handled with free characters, being that Earth actually has a significant number of free characters. So we're just going to demonstrate, and you'll notice that I'm going to be doing a lot of different VCs in and out just to maximize kind of the abilities of the team. And I know that our showcase is on AS Ciel, but keep in mind that as the bosses get tougher and tougher, and you don't have every unit in the game, you really want to maximize and utilize what each unit does. For example, Serene's VC does speed and power plus 30 for 2 turns, and so that will help your physical team do a lot more damage. Now we're also benefiting from the sword dance, which remember that P5 units such as Violet have a plus once more attack, which does double the number of attacks against enemies who are weak to it. So the mobs are weak to the attack, and so you get 2 hits instead of 1, both of which crit because her moves essentially crit guaranteed. And we VC'd back in Mayumpha to have established Earth Zone. Now, one thing that some people forgot, Top T Crush is her power down move, which actually does attack, and in Earth Zone, of course, any Earth attacks will boost your AF bar, not to mention that it's going to give you a little bit of type shield so you can survive a little bit more against some attacks. And we had AS Myris come in with her VC, and you saw that it can do anywhere from 3 to 5 hits against random targets. In this case, the boss is only 1 target, so all of our attacks landed on the boss. So again, a little bit of showcase on kind of demonstrating what we can do here. Now you can see with the type shield that's applied by Mayumpha, and in turn heal by Mayumpha, we had Brave Step applying Int down, and we have other things in play. Note that even at the large AoE on turn 4 of the rotation of the boss, we didn't take too much damage, and now we have our powerful attacks going away. And don't forget, we have power heal from AS Myris, being that we can heal and have double healing just in case Mayumpha doesn't heal enough with the end of turn heal. If you're wondering what Ciel's doing in the background, he just got kicked to the back, and so we're going to rotate him back in preparation for the AF. Keep in mind that he's going to apply Earth and Pierce Resist down 25 to the enemy, so he's going to do a ton more damage, and we're ready to go right before the turn 1 kickback motion by the boss. Now, one thing to note, obviously, even though Ciel's Vivace is supposed to do a lot more guaranteed crits, it's not 100% chance, and so you really want the benefit of having a team giving him lots and lots of guaranteed crits. And don't forget, he boosts the crit damage of your team as well. So the more crits you can land with your team, the better. And so Mayumpha, for example, does really well. And in our later example, AS Foreign will help increase or guarantee the crits for the entire Pierce team. So that does really well as well. So we're just going to bar this, and hopefully push him to his third stage, which is the whole point of this. In this case, I think I'm a little bit short, and so we're back to turn 1 of the rotation, unfortunately. That being said, no threat at this point. We have almost full HP, we have stacks and stacks of debuffs on the enemy, and we have our top line DPS up front with our combination mage healer who can deal tons of damage. Another example of a good VC is having Violet coming, because her VC, just in case you guys don't know, is I believe it's water resist up for your team 40%. So essentially a type shield against these powerful enemies and their water attacks. So your team's going to survive, and being that we have the true VC Grasta for her, it's going to last for 2 turns. Sword Dance has a 1 more, and then it does 2 hits. We're using Blood Cruelty to power up Deidre and obviously apply pain to everything. And don't forget that most of these units do have enhanced pain Grasta as well as elemental Grasta doing maximum damage. Vivaci's going to clear the board. We're going to set up for our final stage and wipe the enemy. So let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, or I realized that I didn't end this battle ultra fast. I was actually just experimenting with AS Ciel today, because at the end of the day, I already have pretty set teams already, and I'm going to be honest with you, in terms of Earth DPS, I think my Earth / team, that is the one with AS Nagy, does extremely well already, and fitting AS Ciel, not that he's bad by any stretch of the imagination, it's more like, you know, you have so many good units and you can tailor your team to what the enemy is needing to end the job. And so I will say, as a free-to-play, having more characters definitely allows more selection in team building. However, if you have a pretty decent team already, it's not like I couldn't have beaten this without AS Ciel already. So he just made it a little bit easier for us and give us a little bit more boost and have a little bit more power on our Earth team. You can see that we ended the boss with just a half bar. And if you're wondering why I didn't extend the bar a little bit longer, the debuff, which is the physical resistance debuff applied by Deidre, was fading. And make sure you note that when you're doing long battles, you watch for which buffs and debuffs are fading and plan accordingly in order to end the fight. So as usual, our loadout here, you can see most of them are, we even have the VC Grasta for Melodiva, which enhances the VC for 2 turns instead of 1. And of course, Violet is all pain, and true VC Grasta. And of course, Myris does have VC Grasta as well as some extra power to help her do more damage. Serene's pretty standard, pain, elemental. And we have Mayuva, which really doesn't need that much Grasta, being that she doesn't do a lot of damage. So, in our second example of the night, we're going to take on the Unseen. And again, I know the Unseen is pretty doable now, especially with teams with Melissa. You really do avoid the first turn where RNG can really wreck you. And I think I've showed it before where Milsha can really end it in 1 turn, for example. Even with a Pierce team with AS Horn, with a little bit of RNG, you can end it in 2 or 3 turns. But again, we're just featuring AS Ciel and seeing how he adds damage to our team. So remember, you have Claude, of course, applying debuff, Pierce resist down. You have a lot more damage here by Ciel, being that you're going to have type resist down and earth damage up for your entire team. And look at that, 10 mil damage already from Milsha. Again, the focus is not on having Milsha end it on turn 1. It's really to show how much damage we can really get with AS Ciel. And so the idea is Melissa's the fastest, switch in from Earth Zone, and Vivaci will do the job. 1 2-hit combo, 8 mil, not too shabby. And again, we can see the loadout here. So being that he is really good on Pierce teams and can really enhance bow damage, I mean, optimal setups will include some of the top bow users in the game. And again, we don't have that many yet, but you already have someone that you can plan around in the future. And keep this in mind, I've had Ciel just for a week now, and he was out last August, so already 8 months ago. And he's still viable even now. So even at the late getting him is absolutely no problem. He still has a place on my team. He still fits in top tier, Pierce teams or Earth teams, depending on what your needs are. So in conclusion, definitely worth the upgrade. Not too sure if it was worth upgrading the OG version, but heck, Ciel is still going to be on my teams for months to come and hopefully years to come. Keep in mind, he hasn't even had his manifest yet, and that could even enhance his damage further. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.